Hey, thanks for clicking this link. This is part 2 of episode 2. This is a separate recording that I jammed together for part 2 of episode 2. And we pick up the conversation with Raquel and I talking about being twins and being in high school. We then switch over and talk about what's it like being in a bilingual family. We never grew up around other twins. So, like, this twin experience was our own unique experience. You know, we didn't know other sets of twins. We never... And it wasn't maybe until high school...
Correct.
Where we saw another set of twins?
Correct. Yeah. They were more identical. I know there was a set of girl twins.
Yep. I remember that. And
I don't remember a boy and girl twin.
Right?
Yeah. And then the class before us, the ones that graduated with our sister, they had a boy and girl, but they were more identical than fraternal.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, even I don't know whether, you know, it was never something that I sort of researched or thought about growing up, but I know that, you know, our family didn't have a set of twins. It was just us. And then not that it mattered that we weren't around other sets of twins, but I don't think that had anything to do with us, our development or who we were as people or at that time.
No, I don't think so.
And, you know, you mentioned this earlier that our parents, even though bilingual, we didn't speak hardly any Spanish not hardly any. We didn't speak any Spanish at home, you know. No. And by going to a public high school that was predominantly white, we were not exposed. We were in that culture, in that environment of learning around other kids that didn't speak Spanish, as opposed to kids that grew up with, you know, where am I going with this? In a place where Spanish is spoken a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think that had an impact on us? Do you feel bad not learning? You know, because I mean, I've picked up some Spanish when I lived in San Antonio, but you know, it's the basic stuff like hola, cómo estás, muy bien, gracias, y tú. I mean, there are these phrases that you hear growing up, and there's things that you pick up, but it was never. I don't think we were ever entrenched in speaking Spanish or forced to speak Spanish.
No, we were never really forced to. I think it was something that we didn't generally gravitate to. I think it was just one of those things that it was in the back of our mind, just like now you hear it and you really kind of block it out. You don't really go the extra mile to understand what they're talking about or immerse yourself in that. So did it hurt us then? Unknowingly, no. We had no idea the impact it would have now as an adult and having children of your own and being out in the world and people look at you and identify you as Hispanic or Mexican and expect you to know Spanish because of the way you look. That part is difficult or hard to wrap your mind around, because there's many times where I'm here at the local store, people stop me and ask me something in Spanish thinking that I know Spanish, but I don't really. I mean, I can piece it together, but not to the fluently to say it back to them. Absolutely not.
Right.
Like, it's not the same. So no, I think as an adult, yes, I would have liked to learn Spanish fluently. Yes, it would have been ideal. Correct. Yes. Definitely beneficial. Everybody looks for individuals now, job-wise, that have 2 languages. But that back then, it really wasn't something that we thought was going to really affect us, because all of our friends were speaking English. Everything we did was in English, just except on the weekends or when we were with our parents and our grandparents and they spoke Spanish solely. So, yeah, I mean, is it something that I think was a detriment? No, I don't. We now have we now have a choice to learn Spanish at a different level than we did then. Is it going to be the same Spanish as if you were to learn then? No, probably not, because school Spanish is different than your dialect at home. Everybody knows that. Everybody understands that. Even in Mexico, there's different dialects everywhere you go. The way they say things, the way things are said. So no, I think it's okay. I really don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I think because we weren't like forced to learn Spanish, I think maybe we missed out in terms of like the thing that I experienced like in Spanish class in high school. There's a word or a phrase or something being said, and they look at me like, "Am I saying that right?" I'm like, "How the hell do I know? I don't speak Spanish at home. I'm in the same class that you're in. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm learning how to conjugate verbs as well. Usted, ustedes. I mean, all the things that regular students were dealing with, I was dealing with as well. And because it was never forced upon us or, pound into us at home, which was fine. I think our parents wanted to have that regular upbringing of, being around other kids and identifying with people our own age. I think that made it easier for us not to feel um, forced or made to learn Spanish, and it wasn't a bad thing,
yeah.
like you
I think you
said.
should take the word
But I
forced
think
or made. That's not really forced or made. Don't say that because people are. That's all they know. Like if our parents only solely spoke Spanish, they're not forced to say that. I mean, they're just that's their language. That's what they have known all their life, and now they rely on their children to learn both. It just so happens
right.
it's probably a lot faster to learn English in the school system or in school than it is to learn Spanish in school. That's how I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. No, I get that. Yeah, well, yeah, and I don't, you're right. Not saying the word forced, but I mean, um, expected to. That expectation
Correct.
was not given to, was lowered for us. And yeah, it probably was a
Correct.
missed opportunity in learning it in high school. But I think you're
Mm-hmm.
right. We still, as adults, can learn through apps, through Babbel or whatever course you want to take. Anyone Rosetta Stone, whatever thing you want to do, you have that opportunity to do that. So did you, with your kids, since I don't have kids, did you um, let them know about their culture and heritage and say, hey, I'm not going to make you learn Spanish, but by all means, if that's what you want to do.
No, they never really. I mean, I don't even think they ever took Spanish class. Honestly, there wasn't.
Really?
Nowadays, it's not really a thing anymore. I mean, and you can take Spanish or French or something, but my kids were never drawn to it. They had friends that were Mexican, Puerto Rican, Cuban. They have all kinds of friends, especially as military kids, and a lot of them spoke were bilingual. My daughter dated a Puerto Rican and he was bilingual, but she wasn't. They didn't think less of her at all, or his parents didn't think less of her because she didn't speak Spanish, but they understood not everybody is that way. I mean, it's not an upbringing instilled. It's not a role that we took. I mean, we never really got into a conversation about it, but my kids never really seemed like it was drawn to them, but they are definitely proud to be Mexican or be partial Mexican. They
Right.
definitely are very proud that they have that type of culture. And as much as we could introduce that into their lives by being in the military and meeting other people that were like us and raising them, instilling culture into their lives, I think they're appreciative. They like it. They enjoy it now. They genuinely embrace it. Yeah.
And you talk about in their lives. I remember in our lives growing up, there were because we went to Hispanic church, Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and we went to catechism. I remember we also learned traditional Mexican dancing um, um,
Yes.
through a dance group, and I remember that we were the entertainment at school one year that we did the Mexican hat
Yes.
dance. Well, I mean, I don't
Yes.
think we were being exploited or whatever, but in terms of like
Mm.
we embraced that's who we were, but yet it was sort of a thing that we enjoyed, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and I can only imagine with your kids growing up, moving from place to place, finding that had, I'm sure, had a lot of different set of um, complications in terms of your new people in a new place, not knowing anybody. Now they have to make new friends all over again. over
Right.
2 or 3 or 4 year periods of time. So to having those kinds of relationships or even feeling connected to those people would be really tough.
Yeah, it was actually odd when we were in Germany, because they did not. They could, when you, physically you look at us, you could not decipher if you were what we were. Many people thought we were Iranian. Is that how you say it?
Iranian. Mm-hmm.
Or Greek. Um, they never thought we were Hispanic or Mexican. They didn't understand, like, how did you get here, kind of thing. But no, it was really hard for my kids. My daughter played international volleyball with a team of German girls. Um, they didn't quite understand what her nationality was, other than she had dark hair. And so that really wasn't a topic of discussion because she played volleyball very well. So they embraced her based on her talent, not her nationality, which was definitely refreshing. But I know they had a conversation about it, and they didn't quite understand or knew that was a thing, you know?
Right.
But yeah, they had experiences like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, like that Mexican hat dance thing, I think, um, dressing up, dancing, I just remember that we did that in some class, in music class or something like that, where the music played and we danced. And I think our mom and dad were there when we did that. And I'm not sure in what circumstance we did it in, or I just remember that's a very
I
strong.
don't know. I think it was a cultural thing.
It
I think it was a
might have been,
cultural
yeah, cultural
event.
day or
Yeah.
something like that. Where, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, heck, it might have been Cinco de Mayo. Who knows? Who
Who
knows? Who
knows?
knows?
Something corny like that.
Who knows? Um, you know, and I know as you watch this, I mean, for me, this is these are for me random thoughts that go through my head. Growing up, um, talking about it and sharing it with people who know us and those who don't know us. And I think it's interesting, um, you know, as we get older, as we're getting to almost 50 now, take stock in our past and like how did we get here from there. And there are so many different paths, or not paths. There are so many different. Um, the road is winded different ways for each of us, because
Correct.
your
Yes, I would agree.
experience was way different than mine, and what you did, like just traveling the world, literally, um, that experience, I know very. I mean, I have an idea what that's like because in my job I got to travel a lot across the U.S., but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
not to places like uh, Hawaii or Germany, um, being or England, Um, so I mean, there's a lot of things. I have a lot of questions for you as we continue on with this podcast about what that time in your life was like. Um,
Mm.
but I think it's I think everyone's growing up experience is unique, and not there are some things that I think that everybody goes through, which is getting in trouble with your getting in trouble, sneaking out, or getting in fights, or with a sibling or someone at school. I think those experiences are very common and unique. I'm not very they're very common and experienced by everyone.
Right.
So I mean,
No, I
and
agree.
I think I want to touch upon a lot of that stuff as we continue talking about us and our lives and growing up. And I mean, some people might find this interesting, some people might not. For me, it's just I don't say cathartic, but it's interesting for me to look back and have this conversation with you now that obviously we couldn't have when we were younger because we didn't know any better or didn't know what was going on. So if you want to leave a comment, please go ahead. You can leave a comment on the Facebook page. You can leave a comment on the YouTube page. If there's something you want us to talk about, leave the question and we'll take a look at it, and hopefully we'll bring it up in the next episode. We're still early on in the growth of this podcast, so we appreciate any and all support that you want to give us. I just want to say thanks to everybody who's supporting, who's being subscribers to the YouTube channel and giving us likes on Facebook.
Thanks for subscribing, folks. I mean, that's amazing. You want to hear from us? That's very cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I think that's going to end it for this episode.
So there's no more room in the womb.
and the womb is closed.